All right, we have a young man here who give us the first question.
I'm not sure whether I want to ask this question or not, but many years ago, Lee Kuan Yew said that if our opposition in power, Singapore will collapse. I don't know whether it is true, but
you heard that question? The young man asked us, some years ago, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew said that if the opposition comes to power, Singapore will what? Collapse. Well, let me put that in perspective. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew made that particular statement, not his exact words. He made those words, the exact words, he and his cabinet, what they said was, now this was in sometime during the 1984 general elections, where they know they're going to lose Potong Pasir to Chiam Si Tong. So the whole PAP came out at the election rally, I'm talking about 1984, and said, even if one opposition was voted into parliament, Singapore will scare away all the investors. Those are the exact words. He didn't use the word collapse. I remember this very clearly. So he said, even if one opposition was voted into parliament, all the investors will be scared away. Today we have one GRC voting in the opposition, not once but twice. Has this scared away any investor? The PAP is telling a lie.
Yeah, there's also something I'd like to add to this, because quite a lot of people have been asking me this as I've been moving around talking to people. So I'd like you just to all have a picture in your mind. Think about Singapore as a ship, right? And it's got a crew that's running that ship, right? We have a civil service. You know, we have our police, our military, all of these people. They're there day in, day out. The captain gets off the ship doesn't sink. The crew still sails that ship. And actually, if you get a better captain on board, maybe the ship doesn't sail towards the rocks, but it sails to better, calmer waters. So don't worry about not having the PAP there at the very top, because we've got a very solid civil service and a solid system in place. It just needs the right leadership. Thank you.
Mr. Leong will address us.
Allow me to give you the statistics. Is Singapore arguably already collapsed? No. First quarter, GDP growth, only 1.3%. This is one of the lowest for a very, very long time. If not for the increase in infrastructure spending, in last year's budget 2018, infrastructure spending increased, announced $20 billion. If not for the increase in infrastructure spending, if not for the continuing influx of foreigners, on the average, every year they gave out 30,000 new PRs and 20,000 new citizens. If not the ever-increasing prices of everything, water, parking. You see, when you increase infrastructure spending, every foreigner you bring in, every price you increase, that contributes to GDP growth. So are we not arguably already collapsing? Look at yesterday's Business Times. Do you know there are more than 34,000 private property that are unsold, excluding EC, executive condominium? Do you know that there are about 29,000 private property that are vacant? So, to answer to your question, we may already be collapsing.
Dr. James Gomez would like to address us on the same issue.
Yeah, I think the main thing is we need to recognize government fake news, PAP fake news. And I think we need to increase our media literacy. So something like that was just said recently by the colleague who asked the question is something we need to guard against. You know, the state wants to run media literacy programs so that you know what the real truth is. But I think as citizens, we also need to inculcate with us a level of media literacy so we can call out the state or the PAP administration's fake news.
Taking on James Gomez's point, do you know what's the best defense to fake news? Now, the best defense to fake news is not a law. It's not even education per se. It's a critical mind. A critical mind is the way to address this problem. And unfortunately, this is something which the government, despite its rhetoric, does not promote.
Wai Han?
No, in Cantonese, there's this phrase, 若要人不知，除非己莫為. If you do not want people to know, don't do it. So same with the government. If you're so afraid of people sending out fake news, just don't cheat, don't lie, don't tell half-truths. Simple as that.
Wonderful.
Okay, we have a question from one member of the audience, Mr. Clement.
Well, it's not exactly a question. It's an invitation, actually.
Oh.
It is from a Christian to all Christians in Parliament. As what the MC said, this is not yet an act, it's a bill. So there will be an opportunity for all Christians MPs, whether within the governing party or in WP, they should touch their heart and ask themselves, are they being true to their faith? If they believe that this bill is good for the country, good for the people. The latest MP to get into the faith is Lim Swee Say. So I'm sending this invitation directly to him also.
Okay.
Be true to yourself, be true to your faith. Thank you.
Okay. I wish you had posed it as a question. I think the question here, all right, that Clement implied is, will the elected MPs vote with their conscience? Would they put their hands on their heart and think that this bill is for the good of all Singapore? Right? I think that is the gist of, let me phrase it in a question in another way. Okay? So, yes. Will this bill do more harm than good? Let them put their hands over their hearts and give us a straight answer. Thank you, Clement. I hope I've answered you. Ladies first. Hello. Wait.
Hello? Okay. Okay. I definitely agree with the speakers, right? I'm sure one of you have mentioned that freedom of speech is a basic right? That without it, all the other rights we have, all the other human rights mean nothing. And I really want to agree with that statement. And I think my question is, right, with this passing of this fake news bill, this new act, are we not, okay, first we are going to silence a lot of voices, not just online, right, but offline as well. And I think that will be a very sad state of society.
What is your question?
My question is that, is this going to harm the level of discussion, the level of discourse in society? And yeah, and hope I can get a response.
Who wants to take that? Okay, James.
I think if we compare Singapore to what's happening in the region and how the citizens of other ASEAN countries are responding, first of all, they coordinate. They come into a coalition. Right now, if we analyze what's been happening around the bill, You have academics, you have journalists, you have civil societies. I think we need all of these people, including lay citizens, political parties, to come together to form some kind of broad coalition against this bill and other repressive bills that make part of the Singapore political ecosystem. Secondly, the push need not necessarily only exist in the pre-bill period. Even when and if the bill is passed, the lobby and the push needs to continue, because eventually you need a regime change if you want to get rid of the laws. We just have to look across the border, right, in Malaysia, because they got rid of the fake news bill in Malaysia because they have had a regime change. Now, regime change coalition building need not necessarily happen before an election, but that's the experience we took from Malaysia. But if you look in the Thai context, right, the coalition building happened after the election. So either way, you have your options about how to work together to push for regime change.
Yes. I think the question raises two interesting issues. The first is about the public interest. Now, does this law seem to promote the public's interest, our interest, or the government's interest? I'll let you answer that. What do you think? Who seems to be protecting whose interests here?
Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Second is, will the law create a chilling effect? You've heard that, I'm sure many people have talked about it, but they have paid lip service to it. I think we should not. And I think it is a real concern. Because at the end of the day, what this government thrives on is fear. Its main currency is fear. We live in a climate of fear. And with yet another law limiting our ability to express ourselves, and this time in such broad terms, the fear would be real. And yes, therefore, there would be a real chilling effect. You would think twice before you post it. You would think twice before you forwarded a WhatsApp. Say, is this fake news? Rather than be your casual social self and say, oh, well, this is fierce. Let my friends decide whether this is true or not. I just post. Sued for sharing on Facebook. How can that be? You know? So I would like to say, in response to that question, that yes, it will affect public discourse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Yeah. We have another question from another young lady here.
Not so sure I still qualify as young, but
Much younger than me, for sure.
my question is about access to information and transparency of data, because quite a few of the speakers have mentioned this issue of public trust. And I was interested in hearing the thoughts of the speakers on how more systematic publication of data that the government possesses in all kinds of domains might actually interact with the issues raised by this question of online falsehoods and conspiracism. Thanks.
Okay, I'll take that one first. I was at a book launch yesterday of a very well-known academic who's been studying Singapore for like 30 years now, or over 30 years. Most of his academic career based out of Australia. And we've had some discussions as well. most of the information he finds out, he gets from overseas. I know a lot of you follow my articles online. I do find some things on the government websites, but I also find a lot of my information overseas. I have to see what's going on out of UK archives, the Australian archives, India even, all different places. It's on the outside. So yes, if we had more access to information here, then we would be much more trusting of our government. Why do you keep everything hidden? Why? Especially when it talks about financial things. I've been looking into some financial stuff. We have to make reporting to the IMF, to the World Bank, people like this. So we're telling people outside about us, but we're not telling our own people what we're doing. And so we're all left with these questions. So we have these things like, what are they doing with their reserves? What are they doing here or there? A large part of that, they may be doing the things right, we don't know. But because they keep so much hidden, we have this natural level of distrust. So if they can start opening up, one of the things I said, be more open, then yes, that's going to go a long way to getting rid of that trust deficit that we have right now.
Yeah. Let me just add on to that about this information availability. I'm sure Mr. Leong will tell you that the statistics released by the government today is just so limited compared with what was done 20 years ago. For example, the suicide rates was totally eliminated. They publish it in public, the suicide in Singapore. They took it out. If you want it, you got to apply to, I don't know which ministry, all right, to get it. Why? When other countries pass law to guarantee the freedom of information. The Freedom of Information Act has been passed years ago in the United States, that citizens can apply to the government to seek certain information. We are such a small country. Everything, as what Lee Hsien Loong say, is smart now. At the press of a button, you can get all the information you want. Why do you want to hide? As Chen Wai Han just mentioned in Cantonese, 若要人不知，除非己莫為. If you do not want people to know your uglies, don't do it. What are they hiding? Right? Mr. Leong, anything you want to say?
This is a very good question. I've been analyzing government statistics for about 20 years. I've written a few thousand articles, most of them analyzing government statistics. I've come to Hong Lim Park to speak most of the time on statistics, at least 30, 40 times. I must have done hundreds of presentations on statistics. It is getting harder because nowadays, either a lot of the statistics are incomplete, or they are misleading, or they change the definition, or they are omitted altogether. And if I want to give you some examples, it will take another 15 minutes, so I think forget about it.
Save it for the next rally. Yeah? Okay, I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Any more questions? Please feel free to ask, all right? We are an intelligent and discerning society. We are a population of thinking people. So please feel free to ask.
我只是讲一个很简单的事实，几乎全部的学生老师 they know 以前的皇帝是指鹿为马 ，you know what?
Never mind, I will translate.
Yeah. Now 现在的我的感觉哦，我们的政府是指驴为马，硬硬把那个驴放上高位啊，就是这么简单的一种感觉而已。
哦，这个是你的没有什么问题吗？
没有，这个也是一个问题。
就是
指驴为马，以前的政府，以前的皇帝是，
就是你现在做一个比例啦，是不是？
对，我的感受。
He is saying that in the past, he mentioned a Chinese fable in the past where the emperor said that he brought a donkey in front of all the courtiers and said, that is a horse. And all the courtier say, yes, that is a horse. Just because the emperor say so. So I guess 我就是在您的问题就是是否我们现在的政府也是同样跟以前中国的那些皇帝是不是？对对，就是皇帝说的就是对，不管是正确不正确，是不是这样的意思？好。Well, I'm sure you got the gist of what he want to ask. So,
When the emperor becomes oppressive, he loses the mandate of heaven.
yeah, yeah. So, 我现在也是很简单的，这个大家心里有数，应该知道我们现在的这个李王朝是否真正为人民的福利吗？ So, is the Li dynasty having the people's welfare at heart? Do they genuinely have the welfare of the people, of Singaporeans at heart? Your answer is as good as mine, huh? 还有问题吗？ Any more questions? Okay 了，我们Terry. Okay, thank you very much. We are happy that although the crowd may not be as big as in some previous rallies, but you stayed with us. And as I mentioned just now, go back. It is important that you spread the message. Spread the message for the good of all of us. We have nothing to gain. All right, to come today, we spend our time, our thoughts to share with you. We have nothing to gain except the hope. All of us have the hope that Singapore will be a better country tomorrow with your help. Thank you very much again. Thank you.